once again. Today I have a very special guest, very, very special. One of my close friends who I remain in contact with, somebody whose show I've been on multiple times, but I've been trying to figure out how to get her on my show. We've been waiting to make this happen for a while.
Right.
My friend Shronda from the Q Chat podcast, Geaux Queen herself.
Hey, y'all.
Tell us a little bit about yourself, Queen Shronda.
Hey, y'all. Shronda from the Geaux Queen Brand podcast, the Q Chat. I'm so excited, and Yung Dolemite is right. We go way back. He's one of my biggest supporters, and vice versa. So this has been long overdue. So I'm super happy to chop it up with him.
I'm super happy to finally have you on because it's been a couple of months,
right.
Damn near a year, right?
Yeah, we've been talking about getting me on your show.
It's been a minute because the first time I was on your show,
It was a while ago. It was like months ago.
Yeah, because I'm like, man, it was like one of your earlier episodes.
It was, and you was my first male guest on the show too.
Yeah, that's dope.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Even though I sounded real crusty and rusty because I was at work, I was in my truck at the time, but I feel like we still did all right.
But we had good content because the minute I posted telling all the women I was having a male on the show, they like went nuts with all these questions, thinking we was gonna have like a little bitter episode. I'm like, it ain't that kind of party. So.
Yeah, like they thought it was gonna be like the smoke. Even after I was seeing some of the comments, like, "Oh, I got some stuff to say to him," and I'm like,
"Yeah, I was like, I need to calm down. Like, you know, it's not even that serious."
Yeah, because I don't even get down like that. Like, I'm not one of the battle with a sexist type of platform.
Right. Like, me too, and especially considering that my podcast, you know, centers around the queens. Like I say all the time, like I don't do divisive stuff. Period. Like you'll never hear me male bashing anybody on my show. Like I don't really go that route.
Yeah, it's kind of annoying at this point that I see a lot of male and female podcasters, even like when they'll do you know, like that little teaser content or like they post on Instagram, it's kind of always like a battle with a sexist post, like who cheats more?
Yeah. Women? Yeah.
Who's worse at this, men or women? It's like, I'm not finna sit up here and argue with y'all.
Right. I don't get into that. I don't touch that kind of stuff.
Yeah, if y'all want to argue, don't tag me in that post. Like I'll be in some uplifting each other or like some tips on how to make the opposite sex better or make the sex that you belong to better. But I'm not gonna do the whole, oh, we're better than them or they're worse than us or oh, it's so hard for men because women ain't shit.
Right. I don't play that stuff either because I had somebody, this was months ago, they would always tag me in some negative stuff about women. And I'm like, have they listened to my show? Like, I don't get down like that. So I used to finally like say like, oh, here we go again, where they would tag me and they finally stopped tagging me. Because I'm like, what is the point in tagging me of all people on this? Exactly. Like you're not gonna get the answer you want. Like I don't, like I said, I just have every man I've dated been perfect? Hell no, but I just don't get into that. Like it's just not necessary.
Yeah, like people, you know, people have relationship problems on both sides of the fence.
Right.
Men and women as well. So it's like I'm not finna sit up here and argue about who's wrong in what because both parties are wrong in both.
Exactly. And especially the episode that me and you did when I was like, as a woman, saying certain things about cheating, if you can recall. And I'm like, I know women not going to agree with this comment that I was saying, but I'm like, certain things really are a case by case basis, and you really can't generalize, you know. So I just don't really get down like that.
Yeah, like it's like it gets repetitive.
It does.
Like, you know, this not the shade room. We not finna sit up here and use our platforms to bash the opposite sex.
Right.
You know, because there's enough podcasts for that.
Exactly. Sounds like I'm not one of those.
Like y'all hear that shit on 30 different shows. You're not finna hear it on my show. Like a lot of I've had women DM me to get on the show thinking that we was gonna argue.
Right.
Like, you know, and part of it is because of a platform that I was on, who I'm not gonna name.
Mm-hmm.
They was like, oh, I heard you with homeboy. Oh, I already know what type of party it's gonna be, so we can go at it. No, we're not gonna go at it. Like
Right,
if
right.
there's something that you feel is negative about men, that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
But you're not coming on my show to argue.
Right, right.
Like even if we disagree, it's gonna be intelligent conversation. Like we're gonna try to come to a
Exactly.
conclusion. We not finna just these bitches and just nah,
Right.
we don't do that here.
Right. But it takes maturity for that. That's why, like, I just, and I made a point because I knew, like, my podcast was really going to be centered around women. I'm like, I don't even want people on the show that's going to male bash. Like, I had actually recorded an episode with somebody, and she kept going on and on about her ex. And mind you, we recorded that episode like maybe 2.5 months ago, and I have yet to publish it because I'm like, I really don't want to. I'm sitting there while she's talking, trying to change the subject because I was like, this is not really my energy. I was like, I don't really do that.
Yeah, because I'll be telling people like I'm not gonna put that dirt on my brand.
Right, right,
Just like
exactly.
how the Q chat, Go Queen is an actual brand. Like it's not
Right,
just a show; it's a brand. So
right,
like I tell people, like too much game. Yes, while it is at this point just a podcast, it's also a brand.
right.
I don't want my brand associated with stupid shit. Like you're not
Correct.
gonna come on and bash women or say nothing negative, especially black women. Like
Right.
specifically.
And see, and that's my thing too, because I look at it like this. I'm trying to do a podcast that uplifts black women and refer to them as queens. So on the same token, I'm not going to down black men when I still regard them as kings, no matter what. You know what I'm saying? They aren't, like you said, there aren't perfect women. There's some trash ass women, just like there's trash ass men. But like I always say, that's not the audience I'm catering to anyway. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I just don't go that route. And another thing you mentioned, I don't think a lot of people understand what brand building is. That's why I was like, I don't just, everything I do at my podcast is like you said, is associated with my brand. So it's like I really am not going to say certain things. I've deleted certain episodes because I'm like, oh well, you know what? I can't really have this going because if so and so may listen, and mind you, I'm trying to do other stuff outside of podcasting. Obviously, I'm like that could cause me a problem. So I was like, let me not keep this one published. So, but some people just getting on just to talk, just to say things and to hear themselves and thinking that they making an impact, saying some silliness. So it's like, y'all can do what y'all got to do, but I'm not one of them.
Yeah, I'm completely against that. 100%. You're not getting on my platform just to be bullshitting.
Exactly.
I
And don't
tell
ask me to be on yours. You
yeah,
know what I'm saying? If it's some
a lot of my
nonsense.
friends that specifically like this not a bullshitting show because they be like,
Right.
man, you get on there and I be talking shit and I'm so crazy and that's cool. And then go get you a podcast and be crazy on that motherfucker then because you're not doing that on mine. Like
Exactly.
this is my 80th episode. Like I've been doing this shit for a cool little minute now. Like
Right. Right.
you're not finna fuck mine up because I do every now and then have an episode that's not really game. I'm not really giving no hell of a knowledge, but it's
Right.
sometimes a necessary conversation or at the least possibly something entertaining, but it's also some intellectually stimulating. We're not just finna
Right.
get in here and talk about some shit that happened 5 years ago that ain't nobody gonna know about.
Right. Right.
'Cause I've
Exactly.
had man, let's tell them about back in the day when we was gang banging. Let's not like
Right.
the limitations on some of that shit. Let's not talk about any of that ever.
Right, exactly. That's why, like, that's why I make a point to like really think ahead of time. Like what subject I'm going to talk about, stuff like that, or if it's certain people who I already know have a particular energy. I don't necessarily have to do a lot of extra work on what we're going to say because I'm like, okay, well, I already know they're going to bring good content anyway, and it's going to flow natural. But that's why I don't really. That's a you because you obviously follow me. You notice I don't really collaborate with a lot of people that we
Yeah,
mutually
exactly.
follow because it's like it's not really my thing. So it's nothing against anybody, but it's just I work hard at my ish. Like I'm like Erica Badu. Keep in mind I'm an artist and I'm sensitive about my shit. So it's like I'm not gonna
Exactly.
have everybody play with me.
Yeah, like me too. Like I've been telling people this from day one. Like, dude, this my brand is big on what it's associated with.
Right.
I've done whole episodes about this. Like, dude, my brand can't be associated with stupid bullshit.
Right.
You
Right.
coming on and you literally just want to come on and bullshit because some people
Hmm.
say that, man, we should just
Right.
get on there and man, really just tell them about no, no, we're not gonna do no dumb shit.
Hmm.
We're gonna
Right.
give them some game, cool. If you promoting something, if you promoting something that aligns with my brand, that's cool too. Like you promoting some self-help book or something of that nature, something that'll motivate people, like a clothing brand with a good message or something.
Right.
That shit all day. But like I'm not getting on here to number one bash no fucking body. We not
Right.
gonna bash women. We not finna tell them about these hoes and how these bitches. Nah, my nigga, like you obviously don't even listen to my show if you think that's what I be on here talking about.
Right.
'Cause
Exactly.
a lot of time people hear game and they think like, okay, he gonna be talking about how you holler at women and nah, not really, dog. Like it's
Right.
just practical wisdom for all around life.
Right.
And that was something that I really wanted to talk to you about because the Geaux Queen brand is like really self-love for the black
Hmm.
woman.
Right. Right.
And I did that whole episode, the love letter to the black woman,
Hmm.
a lot, motivated by your brand, our episode, the last one, WAP,
Yeah.
not
Hmm.
protected. Like, I felt like that had to be addressed. So that was the whole reason that I did that episode.
Hmm. Hmm.
Could you tell them a little bit about like the Geaux Queen brand?
So Go Queen, I started it March of 2019, and it literally just started with a Facebook post. I had like, if you can give me like 5, 10 minutes, it was actually a long story
No.
that I've actually never even really got into. I think too much even on my show. So this guy tried to holler at me, whatever. Somebody from high school that used to be like the big ish, whatever, and isn't currently right. So he was inboxing me or some nonsense, and it was like made a comment about, oh, I could be across town to your house, blah blah blah. Mind you, this is somebody I haven't seen since 1995. I do have some years on me, so I was just like, oh yeah, this is not that kind of party, just like that. So like a month later, he inboxed me randomly. I'm at work. This is when I was still working on the plantation for the man. I just get this random inbox. Oh, I just wanted to tell you, you had made that comment. It's not that type of party. I took offense to that, and I'm not some dog you can give rules to. So I got up and sent him this long, lengthy message, like, first of all, like, I don't know who you're trying to address, but I'm not the one. And I'm like, look, I haven't seen you since 1995, and what you're not gonna do is talk to me any kind of way. And I was like, I'm not an option for you. So this turned into a long, big thing, and a lot of people knew who this person was, who actually was married, ironically. But long story short, fast forward to that weekend, I made a simple Facebook post for single women telling them, hey, just to let y'all know, don't settle, you're the privilege, you're the prize, you're the package, just like that. And I wrote that on a Sunday, and maybe like a day or two later, I was like, girl, you better put that on a shirt. Now, mind you, I had never had any, I didn't even wear t-shirts at the time because I was working in the office. But I was like, let me put that on a shirt. And it just took off from there. And it was really true to my heart because I'm like, some women would have really like went back and forth and played games with this nonsense. And it's like, and it was really a love letter to single women in a sense. Like, have some self pride. Like, you really truly don't have to settle, period. So that's what it started with, just because every shirt that I do has some level of empowerment, whether it's about loving yourself, you're a queen. I even have natural hair shirts, just to love yourself, whatever form you're in, and you really don't have to settle. And that was in March. And that's when, like, around August, I was like, well, I want people to also know what's behind all of these shirts and everything. So I was like, podcasting, everybody does it, so
Yeah.
that's why I'm like, let me start the Q chat. And it struggled for months. I started it in August. I mean, from August to December, I had 3 episodes. Then I want to say after like January, no, actually around between February and March, it just took off. Then of course COVID kind of helped too, because I obviously had more free time on my hands, and it turned to me like not being able to buy a guest, to people inboxing me like, wait, you gotta wait, I don't have time. But the message is still the same, just telling women to truly love themselves. And even though it's focused on queens and women, I have had male guests on the show. Obviously, you were my first male guest. We didn't do that back and forth, like I said, in
Mhm.
June, and everything was taking place with the protest with George Floyd. I was like, and I had stuff lined up, and I was like, you know what? I'm putting everything on pause, and I'm dedicating that whole month to black men. And I had nothing but black male guests. It was Go King that whole month because, like I said, I don't play that negativity stuff. Like, if you negative, I can't deal with it. But it's always everything I try to do is just to promote us. You know what I'm saying? Let us know we're valuable and we're special, whether you male or female. So like I said, I have put men on the map too on the show. But I'm real big about telling people to really love themselves because I feel like when you truly value yourself, you really do have a low tolerance for certain things that I feel like if you don't really know how special you are or what you really truly value, you just kind of be like, okay, you know, some people
Yeah,
really don't know what type of power they possess too. So I really am big on letting people know, like, hey, you know, you really are special. Like you may not realize it now, but if you took some time to just sit back and reflect, like, you know, you can do better in whatever situation. And I always tell people self love even goes to what type of careers we have. I feel like everything we do in life centers back to self love.
yeah, exactly. Especially how you allow people to treat you.
Definitely.
Like that's one of the biggest ones. Like as far as like the reason that I did the episode "Love Letter to the Black Woman." But
Hmm.
like no matter what these niggas is saying, whether on podcasts, in the street, in rap music, like you don't have to take that bullshit from nobody.
Nope.
Like there's nobody who could be talking to you fucked up, doing you wrong, or any of that shit. Like you, at the end of the day, you a queen.
Right.
Like, you know,
Exactly.
whatever you do for money, whatever you do for a living, whatever your income is, whatever your position in life is, you a fucking queen. So you
Exactly.
should be allowing no nigga, no matter how much you like him, no matter what he doing in life, how popular he is, you shouldn't let nobody treat you fucked up.
Right. Right.
You know, so like that's one of the big reasons that I fuck with your brand because like we have the same our views align with the fact that I feel like black women should view themselves at a certain plateau. Like I don't think you need to break that for no fucking body. Like don't never
Right.
take your crown off for nobody, period.
Right. But you know the ironic thing, I feel like, and this speaking from my own experience, my mind you, like I said, I'm in my 40s, but like in my 20s, did I have all that self pride and stuff? No, but it also wasn't it wasn't instilled in me. So that's why I'm really huge on that now because I'm like an entirely different person, and I've been on the other end of that where it's like, oh well, you know, you can't really be this bold or confident and yada yada yada. And you know, I feel like women in general, as girls, we're kind of conditioned to be nice and polite, and you know, don't really ruffle feathers, and that don't work for everybody, you know.
Yeah.
So, and that's one reason too. Like even when I did the Brianna episode, which you know that was a brief one, that was only like 20 minutes, but I still focused on Black women. And I had mentioned you too because I'm like, sometimes we really don't get a lot of males that really put women on the map, you know,
Mm.
and it's unfortunate, but I think it's really important. But that's why I always focus on self love, just to let women know too, it technically doesn't matter. So even if you don't get that accolade from Joe Blow on the street, still have that self love within yourself because it really does start within them. Because if you look in the mirror and you don't value yourself, yeah, you will accept anything. So that's why I still tie it back to just making sure, telling people, make sure you have that self love within yourself anyway. So at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how anyone else views you, long as you know that you're special, long as you know that you're powerful, long as you know that you're beautiful and you're strong. You have to have that within yourself first before anybody else.
Yeah, because like, you know, like what was it exactly that we were supposed to discuss? It was the brand and there was something else dealing with dudes. Oh yeah, it was settling.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Like that was another big reason that I had did the show because it's like I see a lot of women settling. And
Yeah,
this
definitely.
is more than just finances, because a lot of people, they associate settling for a man with like, oh, you got a broke man, or you got a man that you got to build up, or you got to build a bear type of dude. Like,
Right.
it's not all. You could settle for a rich man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Like,
definitely.
a lot of women settle because, okay, I feel like he's gonna be a good provider. He's
Mm-hmm.
gonna be a good father. Like, I don't even really like this dude, but because he checks off the boxes on paper, I
Mm-hmm.
deal with him. And it's
Right.
like that. That's not always good either.
It's not.
Like that.
That's a fact. I dated someone 2 years ago and we were discussing marriage. Like this Negro was looking for rings, and I had to take a moment to myself and say to myself, you fit, like you said, I fit the boxes for him because it was a big thing. Like him, his family, friends, oh, well, she, blah, blah, blah. But then I looked at myself and I was like, I can't say the same thing about him. I'm like, I literally don't have anything to be like, it wasn't, you know what I'm saying? I was just like, damn. So everyone pointing out how I'm making his life better. But I'm like, I don't want that. You know, I was like,
Yeah.
I don't want it and I don't need it. And that situation was over and done with. But it takes self-reflection too. You know what I'm saying? If people don't think that, and they, especially like women that get to my age, they start thinking, oh well, I need to be married now,
Yeah. The clock.
or it's time for me to do this. I mean, luckily I already have kids, but like some women, I know plenty of women my age are just even in their 30s, you know, they're not married yet, they don't have kids. So they feel like, okay, well, this is the stage in my life where I should be at having a family. So then that's when they get more conscious into, well, let me see who's gonna be willing to put the ring on my hand and not necessarily bring what I want into my life. Like bring that love, or just bring the boxes, like you said, the boxes that you truly want checked off. Sometimes people kind of put the list to the side because they're starting to think, well, I got to race against time right now. I got to hurry up and get that spouse or whatever. Or even people that may not necessarily be looking for marriage, but some people that's like, well, I should be in a relationship. So this person's available. So that's good enough. But then you end up with a whole ton of problems and stress where it was like you was doing better by yourself.
Mm-hmm.
It's
And that,
like the meme you had posted about a woman that is comfortable being alone is powerful, you know. And I know I'm paraphrasing, but I was like, I felt that post completely because I'm like, it's true.
yeah, and I strongly believe that, and that's something that, like, I think it was like episode 3. It was the leverage episode, and the
Mm-hmm.
main thing that I discussed was the fact that the ultimate form of leverage in any situation is the ability to walk away.
Right.
Like, especially in relationships, like a lot of people don't respect a mate that they feel is afraid to walk away.
Right.
Like a lot of, and I see this on Twitter as far as like with the black feminists and things of that nature, like where they like, maybe we should leave the black men.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I get the leverage of that, but at the same time, it's like, you don't do that.
Right.
Like, they leave that black man. Leave the black men who are doing y'all wrong. Leave
Right.
the black man that you dealing with that's fucking you over.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you don't throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Right.
Like I've been seeing a whole lot of that, because like, I even tell dudes, because every now and then you get a dude that say shit like that, and if you listen to my show, I call them bitch ass niggas.
Right.
Like, there's no better way to put it. It ain't no way I'm trying to be soft or like spare these niggas feelings,
Right.
because it's like, if you honestly feel like your woman ain't good enough, nigga, that shows negatively on you. Because 9 times out of 10, the reason that we have these negative feelings ain't because our women are any way inferior.
Right.
Like, it's statistically shown that y'all are making more money, y'all are starting businesses, y'all are being educated at a super high rate, and it's like, oh, but they be nagging, they be talking shit, oh, they got a fucked up attitude, and it's like, I don't have that problem, because
Right.
like, that's not the type of energy that I bring into no relationship. Like, I'm
Right.
so solid in myself. There's nothing a woman or anybody is gonna say to make me feel like less of a man.
And you know, that's another thing too. Just why like I'm real funny about like who I rock with, because I'll see that too. Like I'll see posts from males and it's like negative stuff and they generalize. Just like I was telling you even off camera before we started recording. I don't generalize men. So, and I just think it's so small on both ends when people generalize from one bad experience. Oh, well, all black men are this, all black women are this. And I'm real sick and tired of the negative narrative about black women in particular. Once again, another reason why I was big on Go Queen to hype us up, too. And even that kind of gets looked at in a weird way, I think maybe by some people, but not that I care. But it's like we got to be put on a pedestal. If they not gonna do it, we have to. Now, like I said, that's why like when people like you put us up there, I feel like it's really not the majority sometimes. Because some people think it's cool to have those negative platforms where it is pointing out negative stuff from women or men, and it's like, why do we have to follow that trend just to sound cool or whatever? Like, what's the problem? Like, why do we have to go that route? That's why I always say whatever man or woman has some bad traits, because like no one's perfect, but that's not my audience. So that's why like I don't, I just don't cater to that. I don't cater to that negative stuff. I don't cater to the generalizations because I just think it's very small and tired.
Yeah, because I tell people, as far as like people in the podcast community, people who are like producers and promoters and stuff like that, like controversy is not my brand.
Right.
Like I don't get off on pissing people off. Like, yes, there's gonna be some things I'm gonna say that's gonna be controversial, but it's controversial because I believe it and other people don't, not because
Right.
I feel like this is what's gonna wow them. This is gonna get the clicks. Like I don't do clickbait. I don't put weird ass captions or shit
Mm-hmm.
like that on my videos to get people to watch them. Like
Right.
it is what it is. You gonna fuck with the content because it's real, not because you agree or I'm trying to reinforce your negative fucking views on our women.
Right.
Like,
Exactly.
I say it a lot as far as like dudes, like y'all hate women, and this is not to put a negative on homosexuality, but it's like, are you gay?
Mm-hmm.
Is that why you don't like women? Is that why women piss you off so much? Like you just want the pussy, but you don't want the woman attached to it.
Right. Right.
Like,
And
and
I get that because I see that sometimes where just in like some of the memes that are trying to spark an argument, and it's like, damn, like you got that much against women.
yeah,
It is a little unnatural because it's like, what the hell? And like I said, everything got to be balanced. If I saw a woman constantly posting negative stuff about men, I would look at her strange too. Like, really? Like, is it that bad? Not when you gotta sit there and say something negative about every single person of the opposite sex. Like, it's just kind of weird to me.
yeah, because I be telling people all the time, as far as like when they have these niggas, oh, all brothers, all. I'm like, there's niggas been like my 12-year anniversary is in like a week.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've been married 12 years. Like
Mm-hmm.
it ain't all niggas. There's niggas
Right.
out here who enjoy being married, faithful
Right.
to their wife. Like I enjoy being married. Like I feel
Mm-hmm.
like being married is cool. Like I tell people I'm married. Like
Right.
I'm not ashamed of that shit.
Right.
Like so don't think that all men are out here just trying to be plays and all men, all they want is pussy and all this. Like, no, there's a few of us out here. We
Right.
be
Right.
hard to find because I'm not even finna try to put it out there like, oh no, we're all out here looking for a wife. No, some niggas really ain't shit. That
Right.
that exists. That's a real thing.
Right.
But I think that's part of the reason that I've been doing like this series right here. Like my last episode, I had my homegirl Rosie from the Rosie Perspective podcast. Shout out to her. I got her glass.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like I support all the queens who I'm real cool with. Like I'm gonna have
Mm-hmm.
Karen L from the Say It Loud podcast because I feel like my audience is mostly men. Like
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
think that it's more men than women who listen to my show. So I really be wanting men to hear from women how
Right.
women feel. Like I don't want to get on here all day and say women feel like this, women believe this, women do this. This is what women be on. It's like it don't sound cool coming from me.
Right.
Like I would rather give y'all the floor to say how y'all feel, like what it really is from y'all. And like with y'all who I associate with, like it's women who really own y'all shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Mm-hmm.
y'all look good, y'all entrepreneurs, y'all hustling, y'all getting money, and y'all not fucking bitter.
Right.
Y'all not coming on here to just be like, oh, we gonna argue because men ain't shit. Like, no, my
Right.
homegirls, they single and they not bitter about it.
Right, exactly. And that's the thing. Like, and I'm real careful about what I say on my show because I'm like, I don't want to be in that category, period. Like, I have better things to do with my time and my energy too. Like, it's low rent. Like, it's just low rent and trashy. Like, I have better things to do than to be like generalizing black men and being bitter and stuff. I mean, come on. It's just not that serious. And I also have like a lot of male friends, so I don't know, maybe that's another reason that it's kind of different for me. I don't think maybe all women have like a good majority of male friends. I do. So that may be another reason why I'm just not that negative either, because I do have male friends. I don't know, but like I said, I just don't see myself ever being a part of that. Like I can't do it.
Yeah, because I really look at it a lot of times as people living in a vacuum.
Right.
Because I used to tell my brother, well, my stepbrother, this shit all the time because like he had negative views of black women. And
Hmm.
I told him, dude, it's way more of a reflection on you than it is on them. Like I'm
That's
married.
the thing that I always look at, because when people, like, for example, I used to get annoyed when people would post those memes about, how much should you spend on a first date, like when a man does it, right? And then people will start commenting, and then they're like, oh, well, I'm not doing all that for no woman, and I'll bring her to McDonald's. It's like, what women you dating? So it's just like, that's why you sound like a fool, because it's like you obviously have a low quality of women that you deal with anyway. So it's like
Exactly.
you showing your slip. Like you making
Exactly.
yourself
Yeah.
sound silly.
Yeah, you pulling your skirt up, nigga. Like I'll be telling you, your panty line showing.
Right, like you pee sitting down. So it's just like you making yourself sound really damn stupid. Like, and that's why you have negative views of women, because you probably have never really dealt with a real woman. And I
Exactly.
think that's the thing some people don't want to admit. And on the flip side too, and I have some single friends. I have one in particular, like every other month, oh, a new boyfriend. And I was like so exhausted hearing this shit. I even told her one time, I was like, it's quality over quantity, right? Because I'm like, I don't know, you think you're doing something big that every single month you got a new nigga. I'm like, it sounds kind of ridiculous. So
Yeah,
it's like, it sounds crazy.
yeah, it's like you look better with one Rolls Royce than 20 Honda Civics.
Right. So I was just like, because this is too much. And then I'm like, you just pulling any damn thing off the shelf, calling him your boyfriend. I'm like, girl, what is wrong with you? And I don't know. And then once again, so when the generalizations come, it's like, okay, well, it's because what you deal with. That's why you got these negative generalizations, because you haven't been with a real man or a real woman. So that's why it's easy to say this negative stuff.
Yeah, and a lot of times you don't know how to treat them when you get them, so you don't even know what you got when you had it.
Exactly. And
You know,
that's the case for a lot of men too. Are the women that they really wish the type of women they wish they could get with. If they had the opportunity, like you said, they would know what to do.
yeah, like a real woman ain't going for that. Oh, I'm gonna take her to McDonald's. I want to fill her out. Oh, and this is something like big that I talked about in the love letter to the black woman.
Hmm.
Niggas gotta stop listening to other stupid ass niggas. Like,
Exactly.
don't listen to a motherfucker that's unsuccessful in the dating game about what you should be doing in the dating game. Like, you listening to this nigga who's single and he don't even have women, and he telling you, man, you don't need to spend no more than $40 on the date. $40 that'll get you a hamburger and her a hamburger, and you don't even supersize her shit because you a player. You the man, you the alpha, you got a dick. It's like, nigga, wait.
Exactly.
Like, whenever I would
Exactly.
tell dudes, like, when you listening to a motherfucker, ask them where they girl at. Like,
Hmm.
show me a Rolodex of the beautiful women who you deal with, and I need proof that you're actually dealing with this.
Right.
Because it's like I could tell by how they talking there ain't no woman going for that shit. Like a lot of podcasts that I would listen to, and I would hear like the tips that they would give, and I'm like, what woman is falling for this shit?
Right.
Like, so women out here going on fast food dates just because you're the man. And then I'm looking at you and it's like, nigga, you don't even look like the type of nigga that could get that off with a woman.
Right.
Because, like me, we talked about this on the last episode of Cat versus Dog too. Like how much to spend on a first date. And I was saying,
Hmm.
like in my 20s, $100 was sufficient.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Mm-hmm.
I was in my 20s, I was young, and I felt like with $100, we can get a decent meal. We can go bowling. We can probably go go-kart riding. Like we could do a lot with
Right.
$100. Like
Right.
a lot of people, they hear these numbers and they just think like, oh, it should be way more. It should no,
Mm-hmm.
like it's not a number. It's a date. Like it's what are we doing with this $100?
Right.
Because like I was telling women, like I could take you to a nice restaurant and have cheesecake and wine and just have a cool ass conversation in a nice environment, and that won't cost us no whole hell of a money. It's just how you spend the money that you spend.
Right.
But, a lot of times it also goes to the woman that you're dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was telling my brother-in-law or my stepbrother about the women he was dealing with. Like black women ain't going for that dumb shit. That's why you don't like black women, because
Mm-hmm.
you get dumb shit off with them. You can't be a bitch when you're dealing with a black woman. So
Right.
being that they don't allow you to just be a bum ass nigga and lay on the couch all day and play fucking PlayStation, you don't like it because you feel like they be nagging and they got a fucked up attitude. But what are you doing to create this attitude?
Thank you. That is the question right there. And the thing about it is, it kills me how like some of our brothers were generalized black women, but then you even get the bottom of the barrel Becky too. It's just like
Yeah,
I don't
bro,
understand that one.
as women in every race. There's
That
dirty Asian
exactly.
women,
Thank you.
dirt,
Every single race, there's the high class and there's the low class.
and
So it's like stop generalizing.
the thing that pisses me off the most, a lot of the niggas who got real negative views of black women and say they gonna go get a white girl get the dustiest white bitch they can find.
They do. I hate to say that, but it's true. I've seen it on so many occasions.
Like you talk negative about Project Black Woman and you went straight to the trailer park. Like it ain't like you went and got Becky from Starbucks or homegirl out of Sephora or some white girl that's like real corporate and fly. You went and got a dusty ass project ass white bitch. Like
Right.
nigga, did you upgrade or was you just going for complexion? Because it can't be nothing better over there with the dog kissing bitch than with a black woman.
Exactly. And that's a huge insult in my opinion. It's like you're playing yourself at that point. But like you said, it's because I feel like the upper league sisters they didn't have a chance with them, so they just turned bitter and just said, "Screw all black women. I'm gonna go over here with little cheesy Becky and think that I just got a prize." Like, no, you settled to for some silliness, and now you make yourself look silly and
Exactly.
stupid.
Because that's what I told my brother. You ain't won shit. Like she not no flyer to no black woman out here. Like not at all. Because where we live at, like and I hear this a lot. Like, oh, they don't like to get dressed. They like to go outside with their bonnet on and shit like that. And like I was telling them, like nigga, if you a real man about your shit, then you can let that be known to the woman that you deal with and put a stop to that. Because
But
I'm
here's my thing. That's the thing I don't understand, right? When like people will complain about, oh well, these black women do blah blah blah. Half the time, the stuff they describing is not every black woman. So why don't you just find the sister that's not wearing a bonnet every day? This is,
exactly
like I mean, there's a trillion black women out here, beautiful ones. So it's like that's the thing where it's like I just feel like that's being lazy. Like you don't want to put in the work to find a quality woman. But you
exactly.
just want to turn around and be bitter and make silly comments. But at the end of the day, you're the problem. Like you don't want to do the work to get a quality woman because there's plenty out there.
Yeah.
But you
Hard.
generalizing.
Cause like me, like I was telling my homeboys, like, and I tell my wife this shit all the time. Like, I hate that I have so many homegirls who are doing very well. They look good. Like they all the way on their shit. They are very eligible bachelors. And I don't have nobody to hook them up with.
Right, right.
Like I wouldn't even do them like that. Like, oh, you got any homeboys like you? Sorry, I don't. Like, I don't even want to set you up with
Mm-hmm.
none of these niggas that I know, because it's not. It's gonna be a waste of your time.
Right,
Because
right,
as much influence as I feel like I have over the dudes who be around me, a lot of my homeboys who on they shit not think,
right, right,
but even the ones that are, like I would always tell them, like, man, there's women out here that's all the way with everything. They eligible, but you
Right.
gotta be eligible to get them. Like
Right.
you can't want somebody amazing and you not amazing yourself because now they settling for you. And do you think somebody that's up here want your ass and you down here? Because I had a homeboy who was asking me like, how could I get a man that is making this level of money? He's educated. He's in, like, you got to be there too.
Right.
You
And
can't.
I'll say that as a woman, because I had friends in the past that had extremely high standards. And I don't mean that in a negative way. The only reason I'm saying it was extremely high because they couldn't offer the stuff they wanted in a man. I had one particular coworker, older woman, always wore her hair plain Jane, wasn't fit, didn't give a damn, and always would say, well, I want somebody that's, real in shape and got this and blah, blah, blah. And I would kind of be like, why the hell you want a man to have all this and you don't have it? And
Exactly.
like I said, it goes both ways. And I think that's the conversation a lot of people don't want to have. I
Mhm.
mean, if you fit all those boxes, cool. But I'm just saying, I've seen people on both ends that don't fit these boxes. I had a male friend once got upset with me because same age as I am, didn't have a car, had a filthy, nasty apartment, and had the nerve to say one time, well, yeah, I can't stand women from New Orleans. I might even meet him or both from New Orleans, and women from New Orleans, they blah, blah, blah. I said, don't you think maybe it's because you don't have a car and you have a nasty apartment? Oh, well, then he got pissed off. I'm just like, and I told him, so all I'm saying is sometimes people want stuff that they can't offer to somebody else. So how can you have certain standards if I'm like a person, like you said, a person wants the same thing in return. No one has time to be a trophy for somebody. I'm sorry. Like that's fantasy stuff on TV. People want reciprocity. And if they can't get it, it's like no one's going to take you seriously.
Yep. And and this advice is not popular as far as something that I tell women. Don't build no nigga.
Mm-hmm.
As much as you see these stories of, oh, when I got with him, he didn't have no job, and then I helped him, and then he got a job. Now we both rich, and he's a millionaire, and now we just happily ever after. Like that is like a 1% thing.
Right.
Cause there's
Correct.
there's a whole lot of other niggas who you did all that for, and then number one, they got on and left your ass. Cause now, shit, now that I got money, I get me a way better woman than you. So
Mm-hmm.
they
Right.
get cocky and then they end up in the win. Or number two, they never get out the nest because shit. Now I got my girl taking care of me. She bought me my PlayStation. I'm gonna sit up here and play this motherfucking 2K and chill. And whenever she asks me about that business idea that I had, I'm just gonna be like, "Why you nagging me? I'm
Right.
figuring it out. You gotta deal. You gotta work with me."
Mm-hmm.
Like, nigga, I gotta see progress. Like I tell women all the time, like you gotta put timelines on shit. Like I
Right.
gotta see what you're doing. Where are the applications that you filling in? What are you doing to show the progress that I'm paying for? Like
Right.
if that's not being shown, then get the fuck out. Like I'm not gonna sit up here and wait for you to grow out of your shell. You're a grown ass man. Like
Exactly.
I don't even fuck with K Michelle, but I fuck with you can't raise a man.
You can't.
Like it,
I agree. I mean, I agree. And it goes back to just having those standards and having just some type of self pride too. Like hell, I mean, every person you meet don't have to be a love connection either. And I
yeah.
think that's something else that people gotta understand too. Like, so what? Just because they like you, they may be cool. That don't mean that's the person you really should be spending all your time on.
All blocks don't fit.
No, they sure don't. Like, I mean, and I think that's another thing people got to understand. I think, especially with women in general, sometimes like we tend to latch on like immediately to the wrong person. Like, it's just not even worth it.
Yeah,
A
because
lot of time gets wasted on the wrong person.
something that I've been saying, and this is a case by case basis, but I do feel like this is the majority. Like a lot of women value excitement over stability.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I think this could possibly be younger women. Like they'll go for the swaggier dude, like the dude who dresses nicer or, like really provides excitement. And this is something that, like I tell my homeboys who are really stable guys, but they are
Mm-hmm.
also really boring guys.
Mm-hmm.
Like you gonna have to really step your shit up in that area too. Like
Right.
just a little nicer, my nigga. Put some color
Right.
in your wardrobe. Like you
Mm-hmm.
gonna have to step up the type of dates you take women on. Like
Right.
broaden your music taste or something. because a lot of dudes are more boring. Like the dudes who got their shit together, educated and all that, they are on some Poindexter shit.
Right.
Like I tell, like you gotta have a happy medium. Just like you want a woman who's classy but a freak in the bed,
Mm-hmm.
you gotta have that other gear too. Like, you know,
Right.
it's an exchange on both sides.
It is.
You know, especially because, like I tell them, I do feel like women do get bored easy. A lot
Yeah.
of women will say that shit, like I get bored easy. So it's like,
Right.
dude, if you know this is a real thing, like you gotta step your shit up in order to match the woman in that, because nigga, you gonna get bored too if you got you a classy lady and then you get in the bedroom and she's just like, I don't do that.
Right.
I don't do like no. We all got something that we might not feel is our thing.
Mm-hmm.
You're dealing with another person, they might have a thing, and you might have to compromise on some shit when you
Right.
deal with another person. Like my stepbrother, like I talk about this nigga a lot because it's just a lot of shit that I'll be like, you got the game really fucked up.
Mm-hmm.
Like you got the game fucked up.
Right.
And a lot of my friends who are having problems in the dating game, I got homeboys who they make good money, they real good dudes, they romantic, they got all these good ideas, but it's like they unsuccessful in the dating game. But I would always
Mm-hmm.
tell them, look at how you dress though. Like
Right.
look at how you approach women though. Like it's cool to try to hit a woman with poetry and all of this shit, but it's like women don't always want that. Sometimes they do want the toxic shit that they see on the memes. Like, nigga,
Right.
you might have to do some shit that you might deem as toxic. But nigga, some women do like to be choked. There's some classy women that like to be choked. So you might
And
have
I
to
get what you're saying. It really is a happy medium. And it's funny what you said because I've been in that situation because I'm single. Like I was telling someone recently that was trying to like holler at me. And I was like, I lose interest quick. And I was just being honest because, like you mentioned, he was kind of boring. And I think he kind of just felt like, well, I like you. And that's it. And
yeah.
I'm like, okay, you're not offering ish on any other level though. And it's like, it's not that serious to me. So what you like me? Like that don't mean nothing. Like we not in the fifth grade. Like so it's like this is not enough for me. It's
Yeah, you
like
rest on romance.
right. And I was just like, I mean, he wasn't doing anything. And I really think he was just riding on the fact that he really liked me. And I'm like, okay, like, and like what you gonna do? It's like
Yeah,
I don't have
exactly.
time to sit with this. And same thing. And mind you, there's an age difference. I do tend to meet people younger than me only because a lot of people don't realize how old I am. So even in our situation, there were certain things he wasn't experienced in, and I was kind of like, "Ooh," just like you said, I don't feel like building nobody. Like I
Yeah,
just
like, nigga, you don't know the Isley brothers.
right. I was like, I'm just kind of too old for that. Like wasn't my thing.
Yeah, and like the good thing, like, and it's the same thing I told Rosie. Like the good thing is knowing what you want, and I
Right.
feel like that's a big thing with women in general, men too, but for the really women a lot,
Right.
because men we don't really start settling until we get older.
Mm-hmm.
So by the time men get older and get ready to settle, we pretty much know what we want.
Mm-hmm.
Like I know what I like, I know what I don't like, so this is what I'm looking for. A lot of
Right.
women, and a lot of times it's also because they've dealt with subpar niggas. So like they don't even feel like a lot of the shit that they actually want is even out there.
True.
Like I tell them, like sometimes you gotta fish in a different pond. Like the niggas in your city might not be for you. You might want to travel. Like a lot of
Right.
people have a negative view of dating online, but you might want to look online for some dudes who posting some shit that you like or saying something
Right.
that you think makes sense. Like
I agree.
there's people, this is a big world. Like the internet has opened it up for a lot of us. And a lot of us have platforms, not just podcasts, but literally just an Instagram page. Like
Right.
I see women all the time, like, damn, I really like what she be saying. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I
Right.
follow them based on that. Like, damn, I like the way her mind works.
Mm-hmm.
I tell people like this is what you should be looking for when you're dating. Like you should be looking
Right.
for a person whose mind aligns with yours way more than a person who's sexually compatible.
Exactly.
Like especially when it comes to sex, because like I tell people all the time, like the worst sex I've ever had is better than the best pizza that I've ever had.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so when you dealing with a person, like, the sex should be low on the totem pole, because you could get good sex all over the fucking place. Like, I don't know
Mm-hmm.
as much for women as for men, but still, like,
Right.
if you dealing with a person solely because of sex and you know they got a deal breaker, that relationship is gonna be fucked up
It is.
at some point.
Right.
You
Right.
can't let
Definitely.
Yeah, sex ain't a band-aid for nothing.
It's not. It's really not. And sex is so temporary. You know what I'm saying? So it's just not enough. Not at all.
Yeah, out of a 24-hour day, sex lasts 30 minutes when you know what you're doing.
Exactly. And that's what I'm saying. It's such a minor part of, you know what I'm saying? Like you said, it's 30 minutes. We could be generous and say it's an hour. But out of 24, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's not enough.
Exactly. Like, that's and I tell motherfuckers that shit a lot. Like, like my homeboys. When we was younger, like when I first got married, and one of my homeboys like was looking at my wife like, "Oh, your ex, she looked way better." And even the ex that he was talking about, she said that shit like, "I look way better than her." And it's like, dog, that should let you know how important looks are.
Right, right.
Like, that looks factor in so little, because my wife is
It
gorgeous
does.
at the end of the day. But
Mm-hmm.
at the same time, it's like, yes, there are women more beautiful. Like, I tell women, there are men that got more money than the nigga that you fucking with, or there's niggas with all types of money. But a lot of them motherfuckers, they rest on the fact that they got money, so they treat you fucked up, because it's like, okay, I'll just buy you a purse, shut the fuck up.
Right.
Like, oh, I'll just take you to this expensive ass restaurant, shut the fuck up. That's
Exactly.
a big reason I tell people not to try to put a dollar amount on a date. Because the
Correct.
same nigga that'll take you on $1,000 first date is the same nigga that'll ignore you for 3 or 4 days at a time because he's busy. You
Right. Fact.
Like, he ain't making no time for you because he's busy making the money that acquired you.
Mm-hmm.
So you really got to look at people more than superficial shit.
Right. That's true. And I've met men, and like I said, I'm in my 40s. I've met men in their 40s, never been married, no children, still talking about I'm looking for a 10. That's why you pushing mid 40s and you've never been married and have no kids. Like, you sound ridiculous. It's like, and that's to me, that's a lack of maturity as well. When that's all you're looking for is someone that's attractive. And then on the flip side, you really ain't that perfect to be talking about, hey, I want a 10 too. It's like people just, I notice certain things from people that complain a lot or that are really negative about the opposite sex or relationships in general. Like, you'll see like big cracks when you're hearing these stories. Like, okay, I see why you're in the situation you're in, because like the stuff just doesn't add up.
Yeah, because like one of the this was before I had a podcast, honestly though. Like, I used to do like Snapchat videos and shit, like on
Mhm.
Instagram back in the day, and I would always say, like, when you're looking for a mate, it's like going to the car lot. And it's like, what you have to offer is the amount of money that you have to get that car. So
Right.
you can't be at the Rolls Royce lot and you got like Honda money. Like, you can't be
This is my favorite analogy because ironically, a car salesman, the person I was talking about that didn't check out the boxes was a car salesman. I thought about an analogy he said once, and I'm like saying to myself, some women are straight up, they Cadillac quality, but some of the people that are trying to be in their energy have like a 400 credit score. You know what I'm saying? So it's like the same freaking car analogy, and it's like, damn, just like on the flip side, you don't have nothing to offer. So I think people need to look at that too on relationship levels. Like, does this person have the right score for you? Can
exactly.
they really afford you? I said that in the end of one of my episodes when I did by myself, just strictly on self-love. I'm like, some of y'all lowering yourselves for people that truly can't afford you. And I don't mean monetary wise. People that can't afford your quality of what you have to offer. They cannot afford you, and vice versa. Can you afford that long list of people that you're looking for? Like, can you afford to have that 10 over there? Like, are you a 10? Can you afford to have that person that makes X amount of dollars? Can you do it? If you really had to. If not, it's like maybe you need to build yourself up too. It's just like I feel like it's a balance. A lot of it goes both ways.
Yeah, because it's like, if your stomach is hanging over your belt, you can't be asking for a person with a six pack.
Right. It don't make sense to me.
And I see it a lot, like women, like, oh, you gotta have this type of car to deal with me. I can't deal with a nigga who ain't got this and who don't got his own place and who do like you live with your mama. Why are you asking for a nigga that got his own place? Like
Right.
you gotta look in the mirror and see, like, do I deserve a nigga that got his own place? Do I
Correct.
deserve a nigga who's college educated? Like I see people with sapiosexual in their bio and that shit is misspelled.
Right.
Like like you want a smart person, but you're a dumbass. Like you should go
Hmm.
to school. You should read some books. Like you should step yourself up to what you're looking for. And a lot of times that shit will find you.
That's the way I look at it too. And that's what I'm saying. Like when I tell women, just understand you the privilege, the prize, and the package. If you have that mindset in general, the right person is going to come to you in general because it's the energy you put out too. And if you sit there with all that negativity and bitterness, that's like a lot of guys that post all that negative stuff. It's like, okay, moving on. It looks bad, number one. So you're right. If you have that right mindset, stuff's gonna come to you anyway. But you just can't expect what you can't get. And I think a lot of people just are not willing to have that conversation with themselves.
Yeah, and that's a big thing. Like personal accountability and responsibility. Like a lot of people don't want to admit that they got life fucked up.
Right.
Like how are you coming at people who approach you? Like
Right.
how are you approaching other people? Like what is it that you're saying that's fucking your shit up?
Right.
Because like I was telling one of my homegirls, like she would always complain about dudes that she was dealing with, but she would always be real reserved on what she would offer.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like, no, I don't do that. That's white stuff. I don't do that. But hell no, why would I do that? Like,
Right.
if you was cooking anyway, and he came over and you said, no, I don't cook because such and such, like, dude, like it's a push and pull. Like you
It
want him
is.
to do this and all of this. Like you want that nigga to get your car fixed and you want that nigga to take your dog to the groomer and you want him to buy you stuff and take you places and you want to meet his family, but he can't meet your daddy because your daddy, like, that's like, oh, he got to be almost my husband. But I got to
Mm-hmm.
meet his mama because I want to know what type of family he got. Like, you can't do that. It got to be a fucking balance. Like,
Right. Right.
just like women do, men, we notice when we being fucked over too.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we know when shit is out of whack, when it's off balance. So,
Right.
like a big part of everything that pretty much we've been talking about this whole episode is reciprocity.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Like you got to be offering what you asking for. Like if you want a Mercedes Benz, you got to have that Mercedes Benz money. You got to have that credit score. You got to be able to pay that car note. Like, and it's due every month.
Right.
You know, like you got to be consistently what you asking for. You got to be that as well. Like you got to be able to
Mm-hmm.
motherfucker at their level, and it's not always financial.
Right.
That's something that a lot of people hear when they hear, oh, you got to be at a motherfucker level. Like it ain't like she's a corporate executive, so I got to be a corporate executive too. Like I could drive a garbage truck,
Right.
but as long as I'm able to pay my bills, provide for myself, dress decent, and take her nice places, that's a lot of times that's all a woman really want.
Right. Exactly.
Like you can get a woman that's a fucking millionaire, and you might work at UPS or something.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that you can take her to a nice place, show her a good time, have a good conversation that don't involve TV,
Mm-hmm.
like there's a lot of shit that a man that's not super financially, I ain't even gonna say secure because you got to be financially at least secure, but you ain't
Right.
got to be like off the charts. You ain't got to make 250K in order to get a quality woman.
Mm-hmm.
And that's pretty much like what I'm trying to give as far as my male listeners. Like, man, just be a real man
Right.
more than anything. Don't even worry about the money. Like, of course, the money is a necessity. You got to
Mm-hmm.
at least be able to feed your fucking self and possibly be able to feed her and kids or whatever the hell. But the thing that you should be focused on in the dating game is just being the overall quality person for who you want to attract.
Right.
But I guess we crossed the hour, so
Okay.
I don't know what you got going on in your day or your night. So I don't want to hold you too long. So you can give your socials, your contacts, and links and business and all of that.
All right. Well, I definitely enjoyed this conversation. I have two IG pages. One is the Q Chat _ podcast. The other one is I am _ Geaux Queen, and that is GEAUX for people who are not from the South. So I always try to specify that. My website is all my links actually go to the same website. So I'll give the simple one. You can go to theqchat.com. That'll bring you to the Geaux Queen page. So just go to theqchat.com. That's where you can I have links on there for my podcast, my blog, everything. So you can go right there. And I'm also on YouTube as well as Geaux Queen TV. And that's again GEAUX. But if you go to my website, theqchat.com, it has all the links on there. And like I said, I really enjoyed myself.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to link all of that like in the show notes on like Spotify and all that. So hopefully you'll be able to click that, and I'm gonna try to put it in on my YouTube page too. So
okay, that'll work. And we'll definitely have to do this again.
Yeah, definitely, for sure.
Sooner than later.
Yeah, exactly. Because now that I know how to use StreamYard, it's gonna be happening. And we gotta do some like Instagram lives and stuff.
Right.
I'm
down with that.
On social media, I be bullshitting. I be trying to do all type of other things throughout the day, so it be taking up time.
Right. I hear you.
I enjoyed having you. I got to do my little closer and shit. So if you want to stick around for my closer, you can kick it, but it's up to you.
I won't hog up the stage. So
yeah, just say if you want to chill, then you can chill.
Well, I won't hog up the stage, but like I said, I appreciate you, and we definitely have to do this again.
We definitely will be doing it again.
All right, take care.
All right, you too. Enjoy your night.
You too. Bye.
Bye. If you would like to support us financially, it is patreon.com/townhouse media. Town E House Media. Support all the Townhouse Media podcasts. Seriously, Not Another Podcast, Friday nights, 9 p.m. with Ben motherfucking Ready, the super producer. That nigga's gonna get down whenever the fuck he feels like getting down, my nigga. Friday nights, 9 p.m. when he's around. Tuesdays, Talk Flirty podcast, Talk Flirty Tuesday with just Nikki. Early or late, she'll be around on Tuesday. Be on the motherfucking lookout. Also on Tuesdays, the Sports for You podcast with Mark, John Watson, and Nick motherfucking Freeze. That's one of my favorite sports podcasts, so y'all go check that motherfucker out. It's gonna be 6 p.m. live on Facebook and live on YouTube. Wednesdays, Hump Days, and Never Be the Same. The No Rules podcast with Mark and Ill Will, live at 5 Pacific time. Live on Facebook and YouTube. Live on Facebook and YouTube as well. So check them motherfuckers out. Sundays, the Cat vs. Dog podcast with myself, Yung Dolemite, and CJ, my co-host, the celebrity of Townhouse Media, Chelsea Perry. Sundays, 3 p.m. Pacific time, live at 5 Houston time. And if you hear, you already know. Fridays, whenever the fuck I get around to it, the Too Much Game podcast. For the most part, I've been doing these motherfuckers around like 6 p.m. Pacific, but I'm not gonna put no time, because sometimes I'll be early, sometimes I'll be late, nigga. Sometimes I gotta work. Sorry that I wasn't here last week, but follow me on social media at Uncle Dolemite on Instagram, at Too Much Game Podcast on Instagram, at Too Much Game Pod 1 on Twitter, at Yung Dolemite on Twitter, YUNGDOLEMITE. Like, comment, and subscribe on YouTube. Share the show with everybody especially bitch ass niggas and beautiful women. But yeah, I think that's it. I ain't here to help you get bitches. I'm here to help you get better. Too much game.